You know that moment when someone tries to play the victim, and then the receipts flood the internet? Yeah, that moment just happened, and it sparked one of the messiest creator meltdowns we've seen all year, taking down 3 major streamers in the process. If you've been keeping up with the Marvel Rivals tournament drama, you probably know the basic story. A pro player named Kingsman was kicked out of a $40,000 event after being labeled toxic. Except that label doesn't hold up. All he really did was ask his teammates to treat the tournament like it actually mattered. Things like locking in, staying focused, and maybe swapping characters when you're stuck at 0 kills and 0 assists. Somehow that was enough to paint him as the bad guy. But this is where things stop being messy and turn completely explosive. Just when everyone thought the drama was over, Kingsman released a full-scale expose, a detailed Google document loaded with Discord screenshots, private DMs, and behind-the-scenes conversations that were never meant to go public. And the moment that document went public, everything unraveled. Sponsors began pulling out within 48 hours. Tournament organizers scrambled to change the narrative. And several creators started wiping evidence like their careers were on the line. Spoiler alert, it didn't save them. And it didn't stop with Kingsman. Another creator, Anti-Grow, stepped forward with his own evidence, making it clear this wasn't a one-time incident. According to him, the same toxic behavior had been going on for months, quietly and out of public view. So let's break down what was actually exposed, why these so-called apologies didn't convince anyone, and how this entire friend group managed to fast-track their own downfall. To begin with, Kingsman never intended for any of this to go public. He was ready to move on, until leaked messages began surfacing, revealing a side of the story no one had seen before. That's when he released the document, literally named like a warning. And immediately, people started noticing just how explosive it was. Inside were Discord messages from someone Kingsman is nearly certain was CeCe, the head of the official Marvel Rivals creator group. These messages were sent to Zazza's boyfriend, Caplunk, and the instructions couldn't have been clearer. They outlined using alt accounts, anonymously clipping content, and downloading any footage that could be leveraged to get Kingsman removed from the team. One line hit harder than the rest. Don't worry, there are plenty of people online just as good. Kingsman, like anyone else, is replaceable. Take a moment to let that sink in. On the surface, CeCe kept insisting she had nothing to do with Kingsman being removed. Behind closed doors, she was actively plotting how to make it happen. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't confusion. It was straight-up planning. And the irony? They called Kingsman replaceable, even though he was statistically the team's best player, dominating matches with something like an 18-2 record, but simply wanting to win? That made him kill the vibe. And it only got worse when the public story was compared to what was actually being said behind closed doors. In public, it was the typical influencer damage control, vague posts about lessons learned, shared responsibility, and personal growth. Words that sound good, but mean nothing. Behind the scenes, the energy was completely different. They demanded that Kingsman delete his videos. They accused him of harassment, even though all he did was defend himself with proof. And the most disturbing part? They tried to weaponize mental health struggles as leverage against him. Let's make one thing perfectly clear. Mental health struggles are real. Anxiety is real. Panic attacks are real. But weaponizing those struggles to silence someone while attacking them at the same time isn't vulnerability. It's manipulation. The strategy was clear. Make Kingsman feel guilty for revealing the truth, painting it as if he was causing emotional harm. That kind of manipulation only works when nobody sees the full picture. This time it didn't work. And the companies noticed. Within just 48 hours of the document going public, the fallout began. Infinity Mice dropped her instantly. Solaris Gaming released an official statement, confirming they had fully removed CeCe from both their organization and creator program, making it clear they do not support behavior that targets or disrespects other creators. Brands don't pull the plug that quickly over mere drama. They act that fast when the evidence is airtight. This wasn't about opinions. It was about behavior. And they didn't want any part of it. And somehow, it only gets worse. CeCe released a statement claiming she was stepping away from the internet to reflect and focus on herself, smooth, composed, and all about looking mature on the outside. Except she never actually stepped away. Instead, she was caught frantically deleting old tweets. She clearly didn't want anyone to see. One of those tweets openly expressed hatred toward men and had been sitting online for years without controversy. But the moment she was accused of unfairly targeting a male, creator and sponsors began pulling out, deleted. So ask yourself, did her beliefs really change overnight? Or did she suddenly realize just how bad those old tweets looked in context? That's the Streisand effect. Trying to delete things after the fact doesn't erase them. It only proves that Meanwhile, CeCe, the tournament host, was executing one of the quickest backpedals the community has ever witnessed. At first, he stood firm, insisting the decision to remove. Kingsman was completely his own, no outside influence, just a strict zero-tolerance policy. Then CeCe went live and confirmed that Basim actually came to her, asked if the accusations were true, and only made the call after getting her approval. So which story is the truth? An independent decision, or a move approved by the very person claiming no involvement? To his credit, and let's be honest, the bar here is incredibly low. Basim eventually offered an apology. He admitted the decision was hasty and made without all the facts. That alone puts him a step ahead of everyone else involved. But the question remains, was his apology sincere? Or did it only come after the public turned against him? Unfortunately, not everyone showed accountability. Lucy, one of the teammates, doubled down entirely. She went live, claiming she was completely justified in telling Kingsman to shut up during the tournament. In private messages, she tried to apologize, but couldn't do it without shifting some of the blame onto him. A half-hearted apology at best. And let's not forget, this is the same person who once compared supporting Kingsman to supporting Israel, a statement many viewers found completely out of line. Even when she tried to explain herself later, the damage was already done. Then there's ZazzaStack, who went on Twitter to defend her gameplay choices, only for community notes to quickly remind everyone that the team still lost 8 out of 9 matches. She later insisted she had never lied. Once again, community notes quickly proved otherwise, listing multiple false statements. Sometimes the more you dig, the deeper the hole becomes. And then came the final blow. A smaller creator, Anti-Grow, came forward with his own receipts, revealing the same toxic pattern had targeted him 4 months earlier, back in October 2025. He shared 2 videos, calmly defending himself after Lucy publicly twisted his words. No insults, no attacks. Just the facts, laid out clearly. Then CeCe allegedly slid into his DMs, warning that if he kept posting videos defending himself, he'd be kicked out of the entire Marvel Rivals creator network, branding his very act of self-defense as harassment. Think about this. A small creator is publicly misrepresented, and all he does is show the proof. And the very person running the network threatens to strip him of access to events, collaborations, and every opportunity to grow. Anti-Grow stayed quiet for 4 whole months, skipping major tournaments and completely avoiding the community, all to dodge retaliation. And after everything he endured, Lucy accused him of doing it for money, then vanished completely. No apology, no accountability. By now, the pattern is impossible to ignore. This wasn't just a single misstep. This was exactly how power was being wielded behind the scenes. Smaller creators were bullied into silence, careers quietly threatened behind the scenes, apologies offered only when the spotlight forced them. And then the twist no one saw coming. Kingsman won. Despite everything, his channel blew up past 200,000 subscribers. Support flooded in. Opportunities began opening everywhere. Meanwhile, the very people who tried to take him down are losing sponsors, getting flagged by the community, and finally being exposed for behavior that had stayed hidden far too long. This downfall isn't about people failing. It's about accountability finally arriving. When you abuse your influence in small communities, when you team up to sabotage someone over honest feedback, the truth always comes out. And when it does, no polished apology and no deleted tweet can erase it. So what's your take on this entire saga? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video.